Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Well, today we're going to jump in and take a look at the final completed project of the repurposing of the Department 56 Haunted Mansion display that I built a few years ago, and then decided with all the new accessory pieces to repurpose it this year and make it sort of the vision that I've always wanted it to be. And you've watched the progress through all of the previous tutorials leading up to this moment. I finished all of it yesterday, let it dry, got up this morning and decorated it. I think it looks great. I want you guys to be the final judge of that. And so we'll go over it in some pretty good detail and take a look at all the length and width dimensions, and look at the lights again and just kind of explain everything as we walk through it. So with that, let's jump in and take a look. Okay, so here is the final vignette, or the display as it sits. So this is how it's going to look when it's displayed later this year. And let's just kind of zoom in and start taking a closer look at it. So obviously the gate was one of the things that made me want to add the rest of the fence. And in order to do that, I'm going to try to steady the camera here as best I can. The gate had to be fit in, and the fence that I built had to be fit in to accommodate that. And you can kind of see the entryway there. And then as we come on this side, you can kind of see that one there. And so the way this gate, the display was designed to accommodate the gate, is you simply pull it straight out. And so the gate comes out and can go in the box and be put away. And what you're left with is the old display piece, the old base that I told you I was gonna paint to kind of match this way. Just in case you look behind the gate, it looks sort of the same as far as paint. There's no need to paint anything down here because you're not gonna see it, but the corners I did add a little bit of paint where the gate kind of stands out. And then to put this, when you're decorating it for the year, you basically just slide it back in, just like that, and you are good to go. You can kind of see where the green comes out right there, but it's not noticeable, just a little bit right there. And you can't really see this at all, but you can hear how crunchy that grass is, and that's with the glue water mixture on everything. And so I also filled in the gaps, and I think I was telling you guys about that as well. There was the gaps here and on the front, and then obviously on this side over here, where the old base and the fence didn't quite meet up. So I put some glue water down in there, and then pushed in some more moss, and then let that dry, and then soaked it pretty thoroughly with another application of the glue water mixture. And it is also crunchy and is not going anywhere. So I feel very confident. It also added some security, I think, to this fence. This fence is very, very secure. Now this is not. Up here, they're just kind of poked in. I did not glue them, just for the simple fact that if I need to replace something, they're easy to get out, and I don't have to mess up the entire fence if I need to readjust something. So then you can see the base here with the brick and the grout, and comes all the way around, and you can see how the fence just kind of lines itself up. It looks pretty good. I think I'm very pleased with the way it turned out. Added a few little shrubs and things like that around the exterior of the fence, and then have foregone the idea of putting a brick wall back there right now. I just took some of those Michael's bushes that I did a tutorial on last season. They're in stock again this season. I bought a couple of more sets. I've obviously the previous sets laying around. So I just put a couple of the yellow bushes back there for now. And I think it looks okay. It may stay that way. I don't know. I may get around to doing the brick wall, but right now it's not a priority. And then as we come around and look at the decoration on the hearse, I've added some of the more of the bushes and plants around that. And that just really helps me to line it up and where it's supposed to go and where the light is. And if we can, and I'll show you the lights here in a moment, we'll come back to those. And then obviously the house itself is not changed at all. It continues to sit where it is. If you did not see the pet cemetery sort of represented here in the Haunted Mansion as well. So we've got a couple of the small little tombstones that I was able to find somewhere that got little pictures of dogs on them. So I just felt that that was appropriate to put into that pet cemetery on the side of the Haunted Mansion as you're walking through the queue. And then we've got the trusted weather vane out front that was made out of XPS foam on the original build, and just a little piece of plastic that was bent up and painted to kind of serve as the weather vane. A little more difficult to kind of picture how that was going to look, but I think it serves the purpose pretty well. Not too bad. And then obviously we go into the singing bus. Now I wasn't sure where I was going to place the singing bus, but I think this is probably about the best place for them. I think they look pretty good there. The whole display does look a little crowded. There's a lot in it. So the overall dimensions of this display, it is 29 inches in length and 20 inches in depth. So 29 inches long and 20 inches deep, and it was designed that way to sit on a table that comes into the entryway of our home. That's where we had it last year. And that's the reason I didn't angle the gate like it is actually at Disneyland, because it would have brought the display out of probably quite honestly, another 6 or 8 inches. And that would have it would have been too big to sit there on that table. And so that's why I had somebody ask, why didn't I camp the gate like it is in the real Disneyland? And that's the reason why. It's just I don't have enough room on that display area to do that. Okay, so then we come back in through the queue, and I kind of added some of the tombstones from some Department 56, some are from Lee Max, and just kind of sitting back there as part of a sort of the graveyard. And I know that's not in its representative place. Those tombstones are typically on top on a hill behind the mausoleum, but obviously we don't have that depicted, so I figured that was probably the closest place to put those. And then we've got the hitchhiking ghost and the infamous mausoleum that was made out of foam. And again, enough people have chimed in that I'll do a kind of a walkthrough tutorial of how I built this, and we'll use some examples, and not a full-size scale like this, but I'll throw a couple things together so you can at least follow along with what I'm showing you. And so really that is it for the front of the display and how it looks. Again, I'm very pleased. I think it's a pretty good representation of the Disneyland Haunted Mansion as far as the grounds are concerned. And so I'm very happy with it. I think it's one of my better builds, especially with all the details, and I absolutely love that. But so let's take a behind the scenes look now. We're going to look at the camera's going to go crazy here, so bear with me. Okay, so we're behind the scenes now, and so now we can see behind the crypt. You can see really the add-on here to the original display that was to house everything that needed to come over in this direction. And then you can see here the add-on of the second piece right there that kind of comes out this way. So all of that done behind the scenes and design. You can't see any of that from the front, obviously, and that's a good thing. And then you can kind of see where everything comes out and plugs in. Now this is all the rolled up extra cords that I've got for the accessories from the Department 56. It's a three-prong plug. I've got one prong plugged into the lights that come out of here. You saw the tutorial video on that. And so now let's take a kind of behind the scenes look at the lights themselves. So you can see the light and how it's sitting there coming out. Now let's take a zoomed in look. And that's not gonna work, it's too bright. Let's remove a tree, kind of come at it from a different angle here. So you can kind of see how the light itself comes out of that concrete mechanism. You can see the little cap on the front of the LED to kind of mask the light on the sides and just kind of show it out to the front. And then if we move over to the haunted hearse, you can see the same concept. Very difficult to see because it's obviously you want it to be difficult to see, but it's hidden under those shrubs there and then shines pretty evenly onto the haunted hearse. And then a lot of folks are like, well, why didn't you paint the back side of the fence? And this is, or not paint it, but why didn't you carve it And this is the reason why I didn't carve it. So I knew that with the grass in there and everything else that you were going to get minimum effect from it. And so to me, there was more work involved in carving it than just putting some grass down there and hiding it. So that's the reason I didn't carve the backside of the wall on those fence posts. And so in the same thing, as you can see over here, you really can't see them at all, even on this side. And so that's another reason. And then the last thing that I want to describe to you, let me set this back up here and put this tree back in place. The last thing that I want to explain in some of the methodology for which we designed this, and again, sorry, the camera's all over the place, is the height difference of the two bases. Why did I do that? Why didn't I bring out the original base and or you know, bring this base out further and have everything on one level and just kind of put this fence on that level? The reason I didn't do that is because I want you to be able to, I mean, I love the fence, don't get me wrong. It is certainly eye-catching, and it helps to sell the realism of this display. But I wanted the fence to be lower so you could kind of see through the fence and see all the detail into the yard and the accessories and everything else. And so in doing that, that's why I kept the original display and then added that on top of this new base, and then extended this new base out a little bit to place this fence. So the fence is actually lower, almost the same height as the new display base, the original display base. So the really only thing in your way is the gate itself and then these pillars. Everything else is sort of at this level, so when you're looking, even at a low angle, it's sort of more representative of what you would actually see at Disneyland, or at least it's believable that it's not all masked and hidden by this front fence. So I hope you guys are as pleased with this as I am. I hope you've enjoyed the tutorials on it. I know I certainly have enjoyed making it. This was a really, really fun build. I'm glad I got it out of the way early. I love it. And so this will be absolutely, hopefully displayed for many, many, many years in our home. It'll be interesting to see what Department 56 comes out with next for the Haunted Mansion. I don't know what that's going to be, and I don't know that I'm going to have room here to accommodate it. And so we'll just see what happens. We'll see if it's something for Disneyland, and if it is, we'll figure out how to incorporate it and maybe have to redo this a year or two down the road. So more to follow on that aspect, I suppose. Okay, well, hopefully you've enjoyed seeing that. That's kind of a behind-the-scenes detail of the whole thing as it's finished and displayed, and now it's display ready. All I've got to do is take it down, box everything up, and store the platform where it doesn't obviously get damaged, and then come the middle or so of August, we'll start setting that up and start actually displaying it in our home like we do every year. And again, we'll do a whole video on a kind of a home walkthrough of everything as it's being set up, and you can see what our house looks like again for the 2023 season. I know you want to see Witch Hollow as well, so do I, and so we got that to look forward to. So hey, so I think what we're going to do next is this coming week, I'm going to get back into the reviews and continue my reviews on everything else that I bought for 2023. I've done the majority of the big pieces. I do still have some accessories left that I need to review, so we'll get those knocked out in the first few days of next week. So you can see everything else for 2023 and decide whether you want that in your collection or not if you haven't already purchased it. And then we will start following that on the Trick or Treat lane. That's gonna be a 4-piece, 2 by 2 foot modular section. So each piece is gonna be about the size, just a little bit smaller, square footage wise, about the same size as this Haunted Mansion display. And I hope that every piece is as detailed or close to being as detailed as this piece. And all 4 of those are going to be designed to fit together with a town, a couple of trick-or-treat streets with houses lining both sides, sidewalks, children, the whole 9 yards. and then around into a cemetery and a pumpkin patch, and we'll call that one done. That one's going to be a good build. That's going to take a little while to do, but that's coming up too. We got to get started on that because I'd like to have that displayed this season as well. So I've got about a month to get that knocked out. So that's going to require quite a bit of work. So you got that to look forward to as well. So this one's done. And so if you've liked this series, if you like this video, make sure you click the like button. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. It certainly helps the channel to grow. It helps me personally, and it keeps me motivated to keep throwing videos out like this. And if you have questions or comments on anything, this village or any other things that we're building or displaying or reviewing, I love to answer your questions. I love to see the feedback, and it helps me to know that I'm being effective in what it is that I'm trying to do. So I appreciate you guys. Have a good rest of the day. Be good to each other, and we'll talk to you again real soon.